Right now, right now. 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 Oh, I got a real good feeling.
We try to bring you high-quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We got to add a little addendum to the show map today. So we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. It always has been, but it's been increasing over the last 50 years since the government has been. Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and welcome back to Coffee and Crypto Live. This is your weekly morning show where we bring you the latest in everything Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about a major rally that has begun on Bitcoin over the last 72 hours. If you've been watching over the weekend, you have seen how Bitcoin has gone through a multi-$1,000 rally, now testing our resistance zone at $65,000. Over the show over the last few weeks, we've discussed how $65,000 to $66,500 is a critical level of resistance, and today we are going to be talking about whether or not Bitcoin is going to be able to break through that resistance and some of the major reasons as to why. We are also going to be discussing a little bit about how we should be investing in this market to prepare ourselves to succeed in cryptocurrency. But today we're going to be doing a lot of technical analysis. I've also got a couple of very exciting announcements to share with you before we dive right on into the TA. The first of which is today we are going to be test piloting a new show called The Jeb McAfee Show. That show will be airing exactly 15 minutes after the conclusion of this show here on the Crypto Jeb YouTube channel from 11 a.m. to 12 noon Eastern Time. And on that show, we will be taking callers to discuss the topics of personal finance, budgeting, financial sovereignty, personal development, and success in life in general. So stay tuned because that show is going to be going live just a little while after we conclude here on Coffee and Crypto. But as I mentioned, we are also going to be taking callers on that show, and we are also going to be taking callers a little bit later here on Coffee and Crypto Live, as we are going to be also test piloting our capabilities to take callers live here on air. So stay tuned. I will give you guys the number here in a little while, and phone lines will be open about halfway through the stream. So get your questions ready. Stay tuned. I would love to talk about Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies with you. And as always, if there's something that I don't know, then I will be more than happy to write it down and go find out an answer for you, share it with you on the next stream. So get ready because this is going to be a good one. If you guys don't know who I am, my name is Jeb McAfee. I've been working in the cryptocurrency space for the last 7 years or so. It is my dream. It is my passion. It is one of my big life's purposes to help you guys achieve something that I call financial sovereignty. And there are two major ways that we do that. Number one, we look at cryptocurrency markets. We look at different markets such as the stock market, the real estate market. We look at financial trends that are going on around the world, and we try to get an understanding of where markets are going so that we can prepare ourselves to make investments. On top of that, we also teach a philosophy called the financial sovereignty way, which is deeply rooted in 6 biblical laws that I call the laws of money. And when we apply the financial sovereignty way along with an understanding of macro markets, then we have the ability to radically change our life when it comes to finances. It's my heart to see you succeed with money, and there's a lot that goes into that statement. That's a loaded statement, and so that's why we're going to be spending the next couple of hours here unpacking exactly how to do that this morning, Monday morning, October the 14th. Welcome to the show. If you're new here, go ahead and hit that like button. Give us a 1 in chat. I want to give a big shout out to anybody who may be new here to the Coffee and Crypto live stream or any of our content. I want to give a big shout out to you. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you for being here. Defla's in chat. Drian121 is in chat. Philly Skills 1428. Carter Elzinga's in chat. Coin Operator XPR88. Christina Orozco. Wreck the Bears is in chat. Joe Bollier. Miguel. Pat B. Ron Hart. Mr. Nice Guy 601. Hold My Beer 305 is in chat. Said, hope the wife is better. Well, you know, she's got there's quite a few things that we're trying to help her heal from. It's definitely been kind of a lot of health things have come up all at once, so I appreciate you guys praying for her. Coffee and Crypto, let's go. Hashtag FinSov, absolutely. Appreciate all of you guys for being here. Without much further ado, let's go ahead and dive right on into it. All right, Bitcoin is currently trading at $65,344, and this is quite significant because that does mean that Bitcoin has run up to a local level of resistance. If you didn't already know, Bitcoin has a zone of resistance here between 65,000 and 66,500. With some context here before we zoom in and try and figure out where Bitcoin's massive massive descending trading channel for the last 7 months or so. About ever since about March, we've been in this descending trading channel. And in the long run, technically speaking, this would be what's known as a bull flag. And that is encouraging because if we do have a bull flag playing out right here, then that bull flag would give us a price target upwards of $100,000 just on the linear chart, which falls into alignment with our current bull market. So that we've been here for so long. Why are we trading sideways for such a long time? Well, been here for so long. Why are we trading sideways for such a long time? Well, I think the answer to that is quite simple. Bitcoin simply went through an enormous bull market with but it to help it to consolidate. People are saying there's lag going on. I do believe that I can solve that. Apologies for that, guys. We did just have our internet update, and so it looks like there may be an issue there. I'm going to put the stream on pause for about 5 minutes, probably less, and I've got a solution that I think is going to fix it. Hang tight. I'm going to be right back. I could wait until the end of the hour, until Coffee and Crypto comes on, until the next show comes on, but I don't want to do that. I want to make sure we can get through our content. Give me just a second. I'm going to turn the camera off and the mic off, and we're going to fix this. I'll be right back. Let's get this under control ASAP. All right, let's see if that fixes it. Check, check. How's the lag now? I believe that may have been able to fix it. Let's see. Let's give it just a couple of seconds here to see if we've got anything going better. Think we're probably doing better. Let's see. Wi-Fi. Let's see. Check, check. Can you guys hear me all right? Let's do a little bit of a test. Stream test. Sometimes we got to do things on the fly, guys. When you've been doing live shows as long as I have, you can't get flustered. You just got to fix the problem and then move on. How are we doing? Everything good? Can you hear me? Think we're good. All right. Problem solving on the fly. That's what we got to do sometimes. Let's get back to it. Why does Bitcoin need to go through this big corrective movement right here? Why does Bitcoin need to go through this big corrective movement right here? The main reason is because Bitcoin did not go through a massive corrective movement during this major run-up. Bitcoin didn't need to, because Bitcoin had an extreme amount of exuberance. During this time, Bitcoin never went through a corrective movement, and so essentially what happened is Bitcoin stored up all of that corrective energy, and then we ended up going through the big one. We ended up having a huge correction all at once. Think about a fault line. If you have just tiny little earthquakes here and there, eventually it builds up and you end up having the big one, right? And so that's what we're having right now. We're having the big corrective movement. Many people have falsely believed that this is the end of the bull market. I don't believe personally that it is the end of the bull market. What I think is happening here is Bitcoin is preparing for the next phase of the bull market. You might ask yourself, is Bitcoin more so in the analogous phase right here? Or is Bitcoin, more so right here? I firmly believe that Bitcoin is far more so right here. And so what we are seeing happen right now is Bitcoin is going through that corrective movement that is going to allow it to go into a massive rally, but Bitcoin has to complete that movement first. But then that begs the question, when has Bitcoin completed that movement? Well, the way that we know that a that a bull flag has completed, because as we know, it does detail a large corrective movement. The way that we know that it concludes is that we start to break above the top downtrending level of resistance. A bear flag is constituted by a downtrending level of resistance for a downtrending level of resistance and a downtrending level of support. And if we try and draw these as to the best of our ability to fit them correctly on the chart, we're going to find the resistance level is somewhere between about here and about here. It's more or less here. And so what we are looking at right now is that with this rally on Bitcoin, can Bitcoin break above this downtrending level of resistance? Because if it can, I honestly think that's more significant than Bitcoin breaking above the all-time high, which currently sits at roughly $73,000. If Bitcoin is able to break above this downtrending level of resistance, therefore, then that gives us the exuberance that Bitcoin needs to rally back up towards all-time high. And so the zone that we're looking at right now is more or less this flat zone between $65,000 and $66,500. But on the upper range, you could call it maybe up to about $68,000. Generally, that zone is the zone that Bitcoin needs to crash through. And if it does, then we have a great deal of confidence that Bitcoin is going to be able to go into a bull market run. And it lines up with a lot of other factors. Let's talk about some of those here. Some of those factors include the fact that the election is coming up. We know from history, and I'll show you this and I'll prove this to you here in just a second. We know from history that Bitcoin goes through its rallies after the election. Bitcoin typically trades sideways into the election. It also typically trades sideways into the halving. But after both of those things have occurred, remember, they're both on 4-year cycles and they both happen around the same time, about 6 months apart. After both of those events have occurred, then Bitcoin typically goes through a massive bull market. And we can see this here on this chart, on some of our charts here. We've discussed how the elections impact the Bitcoin market. You can see them here on our BLX, Brave New Coin Liquid Index for Bitcoin chart. And so what we are experiencing here, what we are seeing here, is that Bitcoin is right here. Bitcoin's right here, and Bitcoin's right here. The election has not occurred yet. What we are looking forward to happening is Bitcoin is going to come here, and Bitcoin's going to come here, and Bitcoin's going to come here. Again, in keeping with our laws of money, in keeping with the financial sovereignty way, we want to be investors. We want to get out of debt and have a budget and all that stuff first. But once we become investors, which is where I want all of you to be, that is what the purpose of this stream is to do, is how do we structure our investments to succeed the most? Right now, we are moving right into that calm before the storm season that we saw in all three of these markets. Before the election in 2012, before the re-election of President Barack Obama, we saw quite a bit of sideways trading here on Bitcoin. We saw several months of sideways trading on Bitcoin here where we did nothing for about 100 days. Right? In the election, and we had not hit all-time high yet either. We had not even broken above all-time high. All-time high would be broken post-election. Same thing occurred here. In 2016, we saw a great deal of sideways trading leading into the election. We traded sideways for 154 days, almost twice as long. And again, we had not yet broken all-time high. Here, when we saw the election of President Joe Biden, we saw Bitcoin trading sideways for not 150 days, but honestly, for more like 500 days, to the point where people thought the bull market was over. And then we broke all-time high post-election. This is the first time in history that Bitcoin has actually broken all-time high before the election. We've only barely broken it, but we have broken it, and that is because of the ETF. If anything, guys, this movement that we're in right now should show you that this is one of the most bullish markets that Bitcoin has ever witnessed. This does not mean the bull market is over. This means the bull market has only begun, and the bull market is stronger than potentially anything that Bitcoin has ever seen before. We've never seen anything like this. So remember, moving into 2019 and 2020, Bitcoin traded sideways for 500 days. Right now, we've only traded sideways for 250 days. Guys, I've been making almost daily content on this market for nearly a decade. This is not abnormal. This is extremely, extremely normal. And this kind of movement almost always precedes a major movement. Almost always precedes a major breakout to the upside, major bullish breakout. You can see here, we traded sideways through the summer of 2023. Everybody called it, dead summer, whatever. The Walking Dead. Bitcoin didn't do anything for 200 days. Exploded. Same thing here. I remember this. We were making content every single day back here. 7 days a week we were uploading. Bitcoin was trading sideways, not doing squat. And then it exploded 300-400%. The altcoins would go on a rally 1,000%, So this is where we need to keep ourselves, we need to keep the perspective. And this perspective here is that Bitcoin only needs to break a little bit higher, and then Bitcoin is going to be in extremely good shape to go into a major uptrend. Looking at the shorter term time frame here, and we'll open the phone lines here in a minute, and we'll take a couple of callers. Really excited to be able to talk to you guys about Bitcoin and the charts and how to invest to succeed in the cryptocurrency space. We have a breakout here where Bitcoin was in this falling wedge. We were, falling here. We were in this falling trading channel here. Bitcoin has actually managed to break bullish out of this as of early this morning. We've been on an uptrend ever since last Thursday, but we actually broke the downtrend here at 1 a.m. this morning on a very, very, very high volatility event. Bitcoin rallied over $1,600 in less than an hour, which shows that we've got a very, very bullish movement going on right now. If we look at some of our indicators, what we are also finding is that they are switching in the right direction. We have the first bullish MACD cross as of today. This is an update today. We have the first bullish MACD cross as of today that Bitcoin has witnessed in about a month. The last time we saw a bullish MACD cross was about September the 11th, September the 12th. Bitcoin would rally another 15% following that. The last time we saw a bullish MACD cross, the last two times we saw a bullish MACD cross. Let's just get a 3 data point average here. The first time of our 3 data points here, we saw Bitcoin would rally about 20%. The second time we saw Bitcoin would rally roughly 10%. And the third time we'd see Bitcoin rally roughly 15%. Take the average of that, obviously it's going to be about 15%. The last 3 times that we've seen a bullish MACD cross, we've seen an average rally of roughly 15%. If we were to see that happen once again, based on yesterday's MACD cross and today's MACD cross, that would take us back up to all-time high, which, in case you didn't realize, that would break us through this zone that we're discussing here, this falling zone of our resistance levels. It also would break us through $65,000 to $66,500, which is where you're seeing a lot of this exuberance come from on the shorter-term timeframes. Furthermore, you've got the crypto Jeb oscillator looking extremely bullish here. And that crypto Jeb oscillator is an oscillator that we created in partnership with LUX ALGO, and it does a wonderful job of telling us who's in charge, the bulls or the bears. That's very important data to have there. And our RSI has broken well above the 14 interval moving average, backtested 53, bounced off of it, and rallied. Very, very exciting stuff there. So when we look down to the 4-hourly chart, we're seeing the exact same thing. Bullishness on all 3 accounts. If we look at LUX ALGO here, LUX ALGO is bullish on the 4-hourly chart, has been for some time. On the 8-hourly chart, it is bullish, has been confirmed ever since late last night. And here on the daily chart, I think we're getting close to a bullish trend catcher reversal, but that has not happened yet. I do think at some point soon we're going to have trend catcher turn green. If we're able to break here above about $66,500 to $67,000, then we're probably going to have Bitcoin be able to go into a confirmed buy signal on LUX ALGO, which would also give us a great deal of confirmation. So in all, the market is extremely healthy right now. Bitcoin is in probably one of the best positions that it's been in quite some time to go into a major rally. If we just kind of clear our chart here for a little bit, we'll be able to see that very clearly. Bitcoin has these higher lows that are forming. If you take the candle wicks, Bitcoin has a very obvious pattern of higher lows going on right now. Even if you don't take the candle wicks, we certainly have a higher low in place as of the last few days than we did here on September the 8th. And so that gives us even more confidence that the bulls are in charge. The only thing I would say technically that is concerning to me is the fact that if Bitcoin does reject and doesn't break through this zone of roughly $66,500 to about $68,000 right in here, then we would end up painting a rising wedge, and there would be a possibility that that would break to the downside. We've got about a 70% likelihood statistically that rising wedges break to the downside. Obviously, we're not too interested in that. So that is something we're going to want to watch for. We want to see a major breakout come to play. Now, there's a couple of other things I want to talk about here. First and foremost, the Dixie is on a rally. This is another counterpoint to the bullish case right now. When the dollar currency index is rallying, this is typically not very bullish for Bitcoin. And the reason for this is simple. Bitcoin is seen as a counter trade to the United States dollar. The stronger the dollar is, the weaker Bitcoin is. The stronger Bitcoin is, the stronger the dollar is, the weaker Bitcoin typically is as far as bullish strength. And so with the Dixie going through a major rally here following the rate cut that we saw last month, that is potentially going to be difficult for the Bitcoin market moving forward, especially if that trend continues. That being said, though, we also want to look at the S&P 500. And the S&P 500 is very confidently setting new all-time highs. Again, that rate cut is very bullish for the Bitcoin market. It is also very bullish for the Dixie market, and it's also very bullish for the S&P 500, which is a little bit confusing because some of those markets counter-trade each other. So we basically got a spanner thrown in our nice calm pond right now. But the good news is the S&P 500 is rallying. Interest rates are coming down, which is making the debt market cheaper. And we're also seeing the Bitcoin market be prepared for a rally here. So the S&P 500 going into a rally, very good for Bitcoin. Very good for Bitcoin because Bitcoin tracks with the S&P. A lot of bullishness coming out of S&P over the last few days. All-time highs being set, obviously. We've got parabolic growth right here, which is basically the growth that we were having on top of the inflation that we're having. So it looks like the S&P 500 is moving faster. Actually, inflation is moving faster, and it's lighting up the S&P 500 like a 4th of July parade. But it is nevertheless still bullish for Bitcoin. There's two more points I want to make here. First and foremost, the election is coming up. After we know who's actually going to be inaugurated in January, that will make the Bitcoin market a lot more confident. Three more points, actually. That will help the Bitcoin market to be a lot more confident, and I do expect in months following the election that we'll see a lot more bullishness than we've been seeing. Second point I want to make here is liquidation data. Let me go ahead and pull this up. We'll go over to CoinGlass here. I have a feeling, although I haven't checked, I have a feeling that we're looking at a lot of short liquidations right now. Based on the way that the Bitcoin market is moving. We're just kind of slowly, steadily chugging right through those levels. And so as you can see, on the 13th of October last night, we saw $57 million of short liquidations. Quite a lot of short liquidations coming in every hour. Not a just huge short wall getting liquidated, but just in general, we're right up there in a lot of people's liquidation zone. We're seeing $21.4 million worth of short liquidations happening so far this hour. Hour's only halfway over. So that obviously is where some of the exuberance is coming from. 11 million last hour. And so I think that's part of the reason that Bitcoin's seeing this large increase right now that we otherwise probably wouldn't be seeing. So Bitcoin is punching through 65, moving up towards 66. We are approaching our recent local high here, which is, of course, at $66,622. So let's pay attention to what happens here. I do think there is a great chance that this could actually end up being a real solid breakout. And one of the last points I want to make here is about the overall sentiment. The sentiment is, to a great degree, shifting, right? People have been greatly concerned about this correction, but I think people are starting to realize some of these different points that I brought up, and they're starting to realize that there is a wonderful opportunity to invest in Bitcoin, and the reason for that is because Bitcoin's undervalued. It's at $66,000, Jeb. What the heck are you talking about? Yes, it's undervalued. Bitcoin has been trading sideways for 7 months. Inflation hasn't stopped. The stock market's barely stopped. Stock market in that time since March has increased a great deal. Stock market since March is up 15%. That's about 15 months of average returns for the S&P 500. S&P 500 generally averages about 1% a year. Sorry, about 1% a month. A little less than that. So S&P 500 has left Bitcoin in the dust. Debt market's getting cheaper because interest rates are going down. The BlackRock ETFs are continuing to acquire Bitcoin and to a lesser degree Ethereum. Bitcoin is undervalued. It is a coiled spring ready to explode. And I do firmly believe that we're going to have a run to $100,000 beginning at some point in the next 6 months. And I do believe by this time next year, Bitcoin will have reached $100,000 or higher, as I have a lot of confidence that this Bitcoin bull market is far from over. Now, let's go ahead and transition into taking some calls. I really appreciate you guys for being on stream. We're going to open up the phones. Phone lines are open 352-607-2682. Once again, that's 352-607-2682. That will be my wife that picks up, Sarah. So you guys get to talk to her. Please only call if you actually have a question that is going to be interesting for the show. If you want to talk to Sarah on anything else, maybe we can bring her on the show. So if you guys have any questions about the content that we are making here, any questions about where you think Bitcoin's going to go, any questions about where you think that the stock market's going to go, any questions about anything in general, feel free to call. Looking forward to talking to you guys. Again, that number is 352-607-2682. Phone lines are open. Please feel free to give us a call. We'll read some chat while we wait for a call. I'm sure Sarah will be getting some calls here in just a minute. Thank you guys so very much for tuning in. I will type that number into chat. I will be making a lower third so it can pop up on screen. Just haven't made that yet. 2682. There we go. All right. Good deal. Looking forward to having you guys on air. Now, I do want to let you guys know this is the day that we're piloting this, so bugs may happen, right? We've tested this several times on private live streams, but of course things can happen, so we'll read a little bit of chat and we'll see how it goes. Appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. All right, let's make sure everything's good here. Yeah, looks like we're good. Let's read a little bit of chat here. Take some questions from chat. 65.5, it feels like she's going to blow. Politics influencing charts, John Doe said. I 100% agree with you. I do think that Bitcoin is looking to be in an extremely bullish territory here. I really feel like there's a lot of enthusiasm, exuberance. Liquidity feels low. Volatility feels high. Enthusiasm, investor confidence, they seem to be at highs. I do certainly agree with you. I think we're going to see a lot of bullish movement coming very soon. I think things are about to blow. Yep. Happy Canadian Thanksgiving. Is that today? Is that what is that called? Boxing Day? Is that today? No, that's December 26th. What is October 14th? Is that a thing? It is Thanksgiving in Canada, October 14th. Huh. How about that? I hear in the other room somebody's on the line, so we'll see if we got some questions coming in. Interesting. Shout out to Canadian Thanksgiving. I had no idea that it was Thanksgiving in Canada. That's awesome. I have a friend in Canada. I should tell him. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Canadian Thanksgiving. Shout out to Canada. America's hat. All right. It's Canadian Thanksgiving, Craig the Space Bum said. Shout out to you, Canada. You're good now. Excellent. Appreciate you guys. Blessings to you, brother. All right. Looks like we have a caller. Let's go ahead and take this. See if everything is working. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Is it Mark?
Yes, it is. I've been following you since I put in money when the noobs seem to put in money at the high point. But I've also been listening to you and DCAing as it's been going down.
Good.
So I got my average to about 60,000 when I've been putting it in Bitcoin, but I've expanded, been investing in a bunch of other coins, and one of them that I was curious on is Superverse, because it seems like everybody else in the crypto world is high on it, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on it as well.
Sure. Yeah, we can take a look at it. I will tell you right now, I haven't ever actually invested in it. So Superverse looks like, let's go ahead and pull this up on the stream so everybody else can see it. It's $1.28 right now. What do you know about it? What can you tell me about it while I kind of pull some information here and look at it? Why did you invest in it? What's the kind of interest there?
Well, I have, you're not the only guy I watch on YouTube, and but you are my favorite.
Oh, well,
I'll say that. Mainly because I love the fact you're a Christian, as am I, and I have been praying for your family. So
Thank you.
Just wanted to say that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, there should be more of YouTubers in general that are Christians, but that's beside the point. So I know it's a gaming token, and I know gaming and AI is going to be very hot, at least I think, and so I wanted to dip my toes in the gaming. I'm in New York, so I can really only get like Coinbase. So I basically only invest in the coins that I can get on Coinbase, and Super was on there. And it just seems like everybody's on it. It's kind of like the leading gaming chain. I'm not nearly as versed at this. I'm still kind of new, but it seems like a good coin. So I just, I'm putting some decent money on it. I'm talking still like about 5% of my total portfolio, but it seems like the gaming one to be betting on. So that's why I was curious on your thoughts too.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. So a couple of thoughts there. The first thing is New York really sucks for investment. I've done some financial coaching calls with people that are in New York, and New York has a propensity for telling the exchanges you're not allowed to transact in different cryptocurrencies. So it is difficult to get a wide spread of what you're able to invest in the New York region. I had one coaching call one coaching session, an individual had XRP they bought before New York had banned it, and so they can't transact it, they can't sell it. I said, okay, could you at least find somebody in a different state that you could give it as a gift? And they said, no, it's literally frozen. I can't even move it unless I move. Like, I can't even leave the state and then transact it. I'd have to move and change my permanent residence. So the guy was thinking about moving to Puerto Rico just so he could actually move his XRP. Not for that reason alone, but multiple reasons. So yeah, New York is difficult in that sense. The first thing I would say to you is, whenever you're investing in a cryptocurrency, you need a better reason than that to invest in it. And what I mean by that is you've got to be able to understand what it does. When we teach financial sovereignty, what we're saying here is that Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever you're going to invest in, you've got to understand it. When we are seeking to control our investments, you've got to know what the investment is, what it does, what the value proposition is, and I want you to at least be able to keep up with it to some degree. I coach people all the time that tell me that they've got 50, 100, 200 cryptocurrencies, or they've got multiple cryptocurrencies and they don't really have a good reason why they're invested in it. And I have seen that wreak havoc on people's lives so many times, even if they put a small amount, because whether you put 5% of the portfolio in or 50%, it is the same heart of investing in something and you don't know what it is. I would never buy a rental property. I would never buy a cryptocurrency. I would never buy a stock unless I knew what it is, what it does, and how I'm actually going to make money off of it. You want to read the white paper. You need to look at the team. You need to understand it to a great degree. Have you done that kind of that really deep research on it?
Man, you're really calling me out.
Well, that's why you called.
I know. No, I definitely have not done as much as, is all that.
Yeah. And so that's where what I tell people, I have kind of a formula. I tell people pretty much the exact same thing every time in this. Either in the next 24 to 48 hours, fix that or sell it. And the reason for that is because we teach 6 laws of money. As you know, you've been listening to the show for a long time. The first one's financial sovereignty. And I'm saying this for the audience who might not be as familiar with the concept. We want to be in control of our wealth. And the only way that you can control your wealth is to understand it. If I want to control my children and help grow them into, godly men and women, I need to, on a deep level, understand them, right? If I want to be a good husband to my wife, I need to, on a deep level, I need to understand her. Now that obviously, a marriage is not about control, but anything that you are supposed to be stewarding well, you need to have a deep level of understanding about it. And so I would say that if you're not able to have a deep level of understanding about it, stop trying to control it and sell it.
Okay. Dude, can I ask you a religious question?
Sure.
Is it weird then, like I keep my priorities, it's always towards the end of my daily prayer, but I feel weird about asking that I still do it, but I ask, hey, please let my investments work out. Like, I feel weird, like almost, not like I'm trying to ask for money, but I'm like, just don't let them crash. You know what I mean? Like, is that all right? Or
of course, nothing wrong with that. No.
Okay.
So here's the context of how we need to view money through a spiritual lens. We've got to get the spiritual vertical correct. We've got to make sure that we are following Jesus Christ wherever he leads. Well, in the parable of the rich young ruler, the individual comes up to Jesus and says, "How must I be saved?" And he says, obey the law and the prophets. And he says, "Well, I've done that since a youth." And so Jesus says, "Okay." He says, "Well, I've done all that. What must I do to be saved?" And Jesus tells him individually, it's not a corporate command, but he tells him individually, sell all that you have and give it to the poor. And it says the rich young ruler walked away with his head hung low because he had a great deal of wealth. The reason that Jesus said that was because that money was an idol in his life. His relationship with his money was more important than his relationship with his Savior. If you get your relationship with your Savior correct, generally, he's not going to tell you to go broke, but sometimes he will. The point is, we've got to get our vertical relationship with Christ correct, and then we can get our horizontal relationship with the rest of the world correct. So if you have a good relationship with Christ, if you are genuinely following him, if you are known by him and you're seeking to know him deeper, there is absolutely nothing wrong with seeking to build wealth in the material world here. God is a good God who loves to give blessings, and so I don't think there's anything at all wrong with that on the surface, unless in your own prayer or somebody points it out that you may have an idle issue with money, but it doesn't sound like you do. So no, I don't think there's anything at all wrong with that. That's like, a child asking for their father to give them a good blessing. That child would not be in sin or in error for asking for a blessing from their father. That is part of their father's character.
All right. Thank you. I feel a lot less guilty now.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad I could help, Mark. It is Mark, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for calling in, Mark. I'm glad I was able to help, and feel free to call again if you have any other questions. Thank you so much for watching and for your support.
Of course. Thank you.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
God bless.
God bless. Bye-bye. All right. Well, that was our first caller. Shout out to Mark. Thank you so much for tuning in, Mark, and for that question. I think we might have time for one more. Not sure if we will. We are going to be jumping into the next show here pretty soon. Let's read chat here for just a second. Let's see. I think we are going to have one more. See if it'll come through. Got a caller from Boston. Craig. Let's see if that'll come through. And on Noster. Good deal. Let's see if we know how to, if we can send him through. Like I said, this is our first day ever doing the calling system, and you would be surprised just how complicated it is on the back end. So we're learning here live with you guys how to manage everything. Pap said, I pray for the same thing and feel guilty too. No, you really shouldn't feel guilty. And it's such a great question that Mark asked there. You shouldn't feel guilty for asking God to prosper you. You really shouldn't. You really shouldn't. So long as your relationship with the Lord is where it ought to be, it's okay to ask for material blessings. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. That is what it's talking about. It is literally talking about material wealth in that case, as well as spiritual wealth. It is talking about both. All right. Got another caller coming in. Welcome to the Coffee and Crypto Show. How are you doing?
What's up?
How's it going?
Oh, man, I've been watching you for a while, man. This is unique.
Thank you. Is it Craig?
Oh, yeah, this is Craig. Yeah, Craig the Space Bum.
Howdy, Craig.
I'm a
Good
Bitcoin maxi.
Bitcoin maxi.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, I had two-part question. So first part, because I've been following you for a while, and I must know, why are you into altcoins? There is no second best, you know? Why?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So here's my answer to that. The vast majority of our portfolio is in Bitcoin and Ethereum. The size of our portfolio in altcoins other than Bitcoin and ETH is probably about 15%. The reason that I'm in the altcoins is because I do think that some of them are good projects and a few of them are going to end up outpacing Bitcoin, but they are every single one of them are projects that I'm going to be flipping this season. The only cryptocurrencies that I hold for the long term, that I've ever held for the long term, are Bitcoin and Ethereum. We have some Solana, we have some Cardano, we have a few different projects. And, honestly, there are quite a few times where I wish I had to just put even more into Bitcoin and Ethereum. So I'm doing an experiment this season to try and kind of trade them. I'm trying to, kind of trade them for this season. But, so that's what we're going to do. We're doing an experiment, just like what we're doing here today, having callers on. We're having an experiment to see how it works out. I think it'll end up making money. Those altcoin positions have done very well, but my main focus and why I harp on it so much on the channel is you're really going to succeed in investment when you pick things you're going to invest in for 5, 7, 10 years. Even what I'm doing with these altcoins, I don't really consider it so much an investment as I more consider it a trade. I acquired them, late last year, early this year. I'm planning on selling them at the top, and I'm not going to hold them for the long run. I'm going to cycle the proceeds into, when we have the proceeds after we pay for taxes, we'll divide up the proceeds in 3 directions. One, we will tithe the proceeds, so 10% will be going to the church. We'll probably be generous with a little bit more than that in the form of an offering. Then we're going to enjoy a percentage of it, which will probably be a relatively small percentage of it, and we'll probably end up putting 60 to 70% of the proceeds right back into another investment that goes into a long-term investment, such as into our fund that we're saving right now for a rental property, or into more Bitcoin and Ethereum. So that's what we're doing. I don't know that I'm going to do it again, but that's our strategy right now.
Nice. And then my other part of my question is, have you ever used Noster? It's not a crypto token, it's a protocol.
I have not. Tell me about it.
It's heavily endorsed by Jack Dorsey, the creator of Twitter. Noster is an acronym, stands for Notes and Other Stuff Transmitted by Relays. The reason why I mentioned it is because it's heavily integrated with Bitcoin. So essentially people are making posts on this social media app, and people are tipping people in Bitcoin over Lightning.
Interesting.
And there's also and it's there's no one app, it's a protocol. So if you get banned from one app, you can still log into the protocol and still talk to your friends and communicate, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. Interesting. No, I haven't heard of it. I will look into it. So it's not a token, it's just a kind of a platform that you can do different things on? Smart client don't
It's a
serve.
protocol,
It's a
right?
protocol, right, yeah.
Yeah, so like the best way I like to describe it to people is like think of it like email, right? Like no one controls emails. It's just a set of rules. So you can build your own email apps, right? If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I haven't used it, but it's interesting. I will look into it. Like I said, that's one of the things I'm looking forward to in these calls. You guys are going to... This always happens when we're in... when we do our coaching calls, is I learn something every time I do a coaching call. People call in, they're like, hey, what about this? I'm like, I will do the best I can, but if I don't know something, I'm going to find out and I'll send you an email. So I will look into Noster. I've heard a lot about it, so we will check that out. Really appreciate you calling in, Craig. Definitely love the questions. Anything else? Any other questions you have?
No, just keep on doing what you're doing, man. I really appreciate your content. Definitely look into zap.stream. It's a Noster live streaming site.
Okay.
So you could basically be streaming to YouTube and Noster at the same time, and people will be tipping you in Bitcoin while you're streaming, so
always
maybe something to think about.
Always love diversifying. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons we're launching this show that we're going to be starting here in a few minutes is we have a good message. I'm very excited about the message of financial sovereignty and technical analysis and all of this. It is our job now to build a megaphone for it. And so that will obviously, as time goes on, involve, streaming to multiple platforms. So that's one I will definitely look into. With that, Craig, thank you so much for calling in. I really appreciate you being here. And definitely feel free to call back in if you have any other questions. Take care, man.
Peace, man. Thanks.
Peace. There you go. Yeah, peace. Take care. Awesome.
Bye.
Bye. Awesome. Wonderful. Well, thank you guys for calling in. That's probably all the calls we have time for on this stream, but we will, as I said, be starting the the Jeb McAfee show here to talk more about personal finance, budgeting, financial sovereignty, and the like. Here in just a few minutes, it will be a new show, so feel free to call into that as well. It will be going live in about 15 minutes. It's scheduled to go live at 11. Again, we are working on, the system and everything, so that's the plan. So stay tuned. We're going to wrap it out now. Really appreciate all of you for tuning in. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the ability to call in. Sarah did a great job connecting you guys, and I look forward to seeing you guys here in about 10 minutes. Bitcoin is in, let's do a quick recap. Bitcoin is in great shape to go through a major uptrend very soon. It is obviously, it's obviously even in that direction right now. We might look at it here just a little bit on the next show as well. So stay tuned. If a major breakout occurs, then obviously we'll talk about it over there also. But yeah, if Bitcoin's able to break through $66,600, then I do believe a major breakout is going to be continuing very, very soon. So really appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. Make sure to check out our sponsors, Uphold, NordVPN. Both of them are right there. They're linked down below. NordVPN is going to keep you safe while you browse online. Uphold is going to keep you safe while you custody your assets and try and trade and sell and invest to generate wealth in the cryptocurrency space. We'll be hearing more about them in upcoming content. Before I go, guys, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good feeling.